Hello and welcome to this photogenic video tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you how to clone yourself in Photoshop so that you appear more than once in a scene. So step one is to get your scene ready. This is going to be my scene. It's just a normal sofa. I've closed the curtains, which is important because you don't want anything in your scene to move throughout the whole of the shoot. You're going to be taking more than one photo and you don't want any ghosting or any half shapes like half a pillow anywhere. The next thing is to get your camera set up on a tripod. Here I've got the Canon EOS 1000D with a Hammerstar 61 tripod. The tripod is really important. You want your camera to stay in exactly the same place throughout the whole shoot. You need to make sure that the tripod is adjusted so that it's not going to move even an inch. That inch will be really important later on in processing. I've also got a flash gun just because we're inside and there isn't that much light, but I've got some of the lamps on as well. The flash gun I've got pointing at the ceiling, so it's going to diffuse light off the ceiling. Hopefully I'm going to be doing a video tutorial on flash guns soon, so look out for that as well. Next you need to set your camera to manual so that the metering stays exactly the same throughout the whole shoot. Here I've got it on 1/250th of a second, f6.3, ISO 100, and the white balance needs to stay the same. Everything about the camera's settings needs to stay the same so that you get exactly the same image every time, apart from the one fact that you are going to be moving throughout the images. Everything else needs to stay the same. You also need to make sure that your flash gun is going to stay the same throughout the same. If you have a flash gun, you need to make sure that you've got it on the right setting. Here I've just got it on manual mode and it's ready to fire. That means I can fire and it won't change the strength of the burst of the flash, so that the amount of light produced is going to stay the same. Additionally, for this shoot I'm going to be setting it onto a self timer of 10 seconds on a Canon. All you need to do is just press this left button here and then select whichever one you want. 10 seconds should be fine for me, and then press OK. The next step is to take your photos, and first thing you need to do is to position yourself in the scene. You need to know where you've sat the first for the photo before you and the photo before that. So the easiest thing to do is to either kind of guess if you're not doing too many of you in the scene, but if you're doing lots of you in the scene, it's easiest just to mark where you've been and where you sat or stood last time with a piece of tape or something that isn't really going to attract the viewer's attention, like the edge of a cushion. That wouldn't really be suspected as to the viewer. So I know that I've sat in the first quarter of the sofa, and that's going to be good enough for me because there's only going to be 4 of me in this shot. If I was doing 5, I'd probably just mark where I've been with a piece of tape, or maybe just on the underside of the sofa. That would be fairly easy as well. Next you just take the photo. So now you've got your photo. All you need to do is do that however many times you want yourself in the photo. Moving along to where you next want yourself in the scene, take another photo, move along again, take another, move along again, take another. And it's really that simple. You need to make sure that you've got all your photos, they're all metered the same, the white balance is the same, everything about them is the same apart from where you are. Well, we're pretty much finished now. All we need to do is edit it in Photoshop or whatever photo editing program you use.
Here I'm using Photoshop CS5 Extended, but you can use other programs like GIMP. The first thing we need to do is to open up one of our images. Here I'm using the furthest left. This is going to be your background image. You're going to place the other photos on top and then work from there. So what you need to do is place one image as the background layer and then drag and drop the other photos on top and resize them so that they fit exactly on top. Right, now we've got 3 images, one with me on the left, in the middle and on the far right. And what you notice here is that these images that I've dragged and dropped, if I click on them, it's not going to allow me to move them around and edit them you need to rasterize them. You just click OK to that, and then do that again. So now you can use all of these images to edit them and move them around as much as you want. Okay, so our first step is to go to our very top layer, select the top layer. You can rename these layers, top, middle, bottom, right, middle, left, whatever suits you, but I'm just going to leave them as they are. So we go to the top layer, and then select layer mask and click add new. If you don't have this little bit here, you just go to window and then masks, and that'll give you the little icon there. You click on that icon, make sure your layer is selected, and then click add mask, and that'll give you a layer mask. If you don't have that little box there, then you need to make sure you've clicked it and that you've done everything in those steps. You'll then come up with all of this, with all the mask edges, the feather density. You want to make sure that the box is selected, and then close the box. You can always come back to that. Then select the paintbrush tool, and make sure that you've got black and white as the foreground and background color. Doesn't matter in which order yet. And select the layer mask that is attached to the first layer. Make sure that you've got the marching ants around it. It won't work if you don't. And then downsize your brush. Here I'm just using the square brackets to downsize them as a shortcut. And you'll find here that you can now paint yourself in if you're using a black paintbrush. And then you just need to do exactly the same for the next part. But you'll find if you create the layer mask for the second layer now, you won't see yourself when you paint in. That's because you need to go to the top layer mask and select the layer mask. Select a big brush and just paint the whole thing, the whole side of the image where you will be. And then you'll find you'll be able to see yourself when you create another layer mask. So we're going to just repeat the process. Select the second layer, create a layer mask for it, select the layer mask, close that box, and then paint ourselves in. And then just adjust the brush size and play around until you get exactly the right effect. Now here's the bit which may be slightly tricky, but it's actually really easy. We're just gonna at some points here the bodies overlap, so all we need to do is to just very carefully paint over what we see here, paint the whole body in, and then we're going to paint, we're going to use the white brush on the layer mask to erase back in, to draw back in, sorry, the image on top. So here we can just use that. I'm just going to scale down the brush size, and we can just paint that back in part of the body there. And all we need to do is remember that white paints back in and black conceals. So white reveals, black conceals, and then you've basically cracked layer masks. The black is the areas which can't be seen, and the white is the areas which can be seen. So if you paint in white, you're gonna erase that part. If you paint in black, if you paint in black, you're going to erase that part of the image. If you paint in white, you're going to reveal it. But remember to look out for some really creative places to do this. Watch out for some more photogenic tutorials soon. If you've come up with a creative place to do a photo of this, then just email me at photogenic@gmail.com. There's a link in the description. Email your photos there, and then I'll post some on the website.